I think also, I kind of said before that I would be surprised if they stuck with him because they did so well, I thought, sort of in the offseason, filling out needs that,
Right.
what's the big difference between 5 picks and like maybe a couple seventh rounders? And is there a big difference between an undrafted free agent and a seventh rounder? I don't know that there is. So I think
in this draft, I don't think there is a big difference. And what you'd hear from teams is that like the sweet spot in this draft was like rounds 2 through 5. And so when you get to 6 and 7, you have a lot of guys who are staying in college because of NIL money. So you're getting guys that maybe in the past, and not in all cases, but you didn't have the same depth in those rounds that you may have had in other years. So, yeah, I don't – again, I think part of what helped them is knowing that they had 9 draft picks last year plus a couple undrafteds make it. Mm-hmm. So if you combine these two classes, well, now the average is what? You have 14, draft picks over the 2 years. That's an average amount, right?
Plus, obviously, if you look at it and you add Debo and Tunzel, who they traded for, I mean, they're like picks.
Right.
So
and Lattimore was the other trade too that they used picks for. So yes, like you have to. All that's taken into account, and I think while it would have been good to have other picks, I think it's better to get guys that you really like,
right?
And not like again, if it had been Conerly and multiple other tackles there or guards or whatever, that they say, well, we like all 3 of these guys equally. One of them is going to be there, okay. But I think with Conerly, like he's a guy that there were some teams that, in their understanding, were ready to move up for him or take him higher in the draft. So knowing that, then you stick to your board and you pick it and you don't overthink it.
Yeah. So from my perspective, just being a diehard fan, but I'm not like some college football guru. I know these guys. Loved the first 2 picks. It wasn't like I'm first some genius on Connor. I didn't even know the guy. I know you though. You had him on your radar because I listened to one of your pods, and you said I had 3 guys, and maybe you had taken Hairston and not the hint. But anyway, he was on your radar.
Yes.
Now, was that on your own, or did you get intel?
I knew that there was definite interest here.
Okay. And
I knew that they wanted to improve the offensive line. And the other guy that I really had on my radar went higher was Tyler Booker, the guard from Alabama. Mm-hmm. So that was another guy that had he been there, but of course he went much higher. But yes, so I knew all that. And he also fits a lot of what they want. He's an athletic tackle. He can move. They like pulling the guards and tackles. So, blocking out in space, et cetera. But it started with the knowledge that 1, I knew they had interest, and 2, I knew that they wanted to improve that offensive line some more and really, really build a wall in front of Jaden Daniels.
So I love that because just from researching from afar, I was like, wow, these guys could both go in the first round. I actually, in my little mock, picked Trey Amos in the first round. In one of them that we had done. So I love those 2. And then I have to say, like in last year, like all those guys I think made the team, and if they were healthy, a lot of them made contributions. But I remember when they made those selections, it didn't make sense to me at the time, maybe based on position or whatever. Ended up working out, right? This go around, I just loved them from the jump. Like, all of them, I love, okay, I see what they're doing here. This guy's got speed. Yeah. I see what they're doing here. This guy's got size or whatever. Like, it all just makes sense to me from afar.
I agree, and I think for sure, and it's funny. I was telling someone else almost the same thing last night. Like the picks make sense.
Yeah.
For not just for the style they want, for who they are, and for what they're looking to develop. Because the linebacker from UCLA he's going to be he's the guy who can run. He can play a hybrid role for you, and you want to have a bigger guy in that role. Whether or not he plays right away on defense, 6th round pick. But he can help on special teams too, because he's a bigger guy who can run, right? He makes sense. Jalen Lane makes sense. Mm-hmm. He had some speed. He could be a little bit of a gadget guy for Cliff Kingsbury. At Tech, he was, a lot of reverses, end arounds, quick throws, whatever, get him in space. But he can help you, but he helps you as a punt returner right now. Mm-hmm. And so even the running back, very physical, runs with violence. There are obviously a couple things. We didn't see him against high level competition, but he was productive, right? And I think he gives you at least a little bit more depth there. And possibly with him, the one thing I wonder, like if he had played all year at Arizona, does he go higher? Do you know what I mean? So do you get better value out of him? Because it would have been, I think going into this, the two areas I felt for sure they would get with running back, offensive line. And but I wasn't sure if they would get one, maybe a running back a little bit higher with a little bit, different change of pace stuff. But I think what you just need are more good players. You know what I'm saying? So I think, but I agree with you. I think they all make sense. I think you can see a role for them, whether it's right now or down the road, because it's hard to get your 6th-round picks and 7th-round picks don't typically come in and contribute right away.
Right.
But if you can develop them, then you're good. And that's, the more guys you can get in there that you can do that with, that you feel you can do that with, the better off you become.